All right, welcome. Today we're going to go over the only fishing gear you will ever need. People get really scientific and really hardcore into all the different rods, all the different reels, the different hooks, the different everything, all these advanced methods. Those are fine, those are great, they all work. But here's the deal. I'm about to show you a very simple setup. It's the only thing you actually ever need. There's a lot of things you could do if you have the money to do it. But for this, you do not need a lot of fancy gear to get started fishing. You do not need a lot of fancy gear to be successful fishing. That's kind of a lie from marketing companies all across the internet. So I'm going to get right into this. I'm going to show you everything you need. I'll talk about what you don't need. There's really not a ton that you need. So I'm going to flip the camera around. I'm going to show you what I got going on. Well, before that, let's start with the rods and reels, okay? Here's what I do. And what I would say is substitute in anything that is in the same price range, in the same type of category, and you'll get the idea. So let's take a look at this. I'll move that in a little bit, okay? This is a Daiwa Revros LT 4000C. That really doesn't matter that much. What this is a pretty simple but cheap. I think it's about 50 bucks, 50 or 60 bucks. Maybe that's not cheap, but this is the cheapest spinning reel I could find that is both reliable and durable and will last. There's other ones out there that are better, but the price tag goes way up. There's other ones out there that are cheaper, but I don't trust them to last very long. I've had this a couple of years. It's been great. It has a wonderful drag system on it. See if we can hear it here. Loosen that up. I don't know if you can hear that very well, but it has a very good drag system. This is 12-pound line, and I caught a 32-pound flathead on this setup earlier this year. That shouldn't happen unless you have a really good drag system. It casts really well. Everything about it I really like. Take this down so you get an idea. So, it's your simple, typical spinning setup. Flip the bail, it goes down. And nice, smooth, easy reel. I would recommend this reel or anything similar to this. It's in that $50 to $75 range. Don't get any fancier than that unless you are doing advanced level bass fishing, which I'm not doing, okay? The rod is simply an Ugly Stik. That's backwards for you. You get the idea. Ugly Stik GX2 rod from Shakespeare. It is the 6-foot medium action. So, I've snagged something over there. I'll have to deal with that later. This has a great bend in the rod. If I can get it unsnagged, which I'm not going to be able to, so I'll bring the snag with me. There's a nice flexible tip on it. It can handle, it has enough, has enough feel to it that you can finesse fish, but also has enough of a backbone that, again, I caught a 32-pound flathead on this, and that's not uncommon that you can pull in a fish of that caliber. It's really not a big deal. So that is my do-it-all setup for, okay, I'm going to the river, I'm going to fish for anything. I'm using worms, or I'm using a crankbait, I'm using a jig, a spinner bait, a spoon, I'm using shad, I'm using live bait, cut bait, lure, doesn't matter, it works for all that. I will say with that particular one, it doesn't do real well with very light lures, it needs a little heavier setup. I've got 12-pound mono on it. There's the 12-pound mono. Trilene Big Game, I recommend Trilene Big Game for, if you're going to use monofilament, I would use this. It's cheap, but it holds up. This is 12-pound. I put it on there. It works great. And that is a perfect river setup. I use it in ponds too. It works great in ponds. But it's a perfect river or lake setup, especially if you're shore fishing. I feel like it's really good for that. Well, we're jumping all over the place there. That is like my do-it-all, all-purpose rod that I use the most for everything. I catch the most fish on that setup. It's not that expensive. I want to say the Ugly Stik rod was, for the GX2, maybe 25 or 30 bucks. So we're coming in under 100, I think. for the combo. That I would highly recommend. But let's say, you want to go after a really big catfish. Obviously, that can handle that because it has. But if you want a truly dedicated catfish setup, I would go with something like this. Again, sticking with the ugly stick rods as I get tangled in the curtains. 1 second. Alrighty. Shakespeare Ugly Stick Catfish Special. This is an 8-foot medium heavy. This thing has a little more backbone. It's not quite as sensitive, and this could really handle a big fish. And I just threw on there, this is the new Cat Max. The Cat Max is found at Bass Pro Shops. Okay, let me get this right. I believe they used to be able to get these for like $40, but inflation, everything's gone up. This is their newer model. I believe it's $60 or $70 for this. For $60 or $70, you're not going to find a better bait cast reel. By the way, I'm going to have here soon a how to cast a bait cast reel video, because a lot of people struggle with that, with getting birds' nests and big tangles and all that. It's really very easy to cast if you just follow a couple tips that I'll go over. But if you don't follow those and you're just flinging it out there, yeah, it's going to be a mess. But this is super rugged, super good drag system on this one. It has the star drag right there. It's there, right here, the star drag. Then you just adjust this to loosen or tighten the drag. And it looks like a star, so hello, star drag. Here's the handle. I put 20 pound, let's find that. Right here, 20 pound mono as the camera goes flying again. That's all right. Low grade video this time, it'll be all right. 20 pound, trilene, big game. Same idea as the other one, just 20 pound. You will be shocked how big you could catch a 50+ pound fish on 20 pound line. This has a great drag system, so it would allow for that. I believe the rod's about $40. Sometimes they go on sale on those for like 31 something. So you're looking about $100 for this setup, and it'll last you forever. Just change out the line. If you're using mono and all these, I would change out the line every year. That's just me, because mono, in the heat and the cold, it starts crimpling up, and I would change mono every year, whereas with braid, which I'm about to show you here, I would change every 3 years. That's just my opinion. Again, you can tell I'm an Ugly Stick fan. Ugly Stick Shakespeare. This is the 9-foot medium heavy. This is your big boy. This is for your river giants. This is for the big catfish, the big stripers. If you're going after 50+ pound fish, this will do it. Maybe $50 for this rod, something like that. It might be 60, I forget. 50 or 60, so a little more expensive, but nothing crazy. Incredible backbone on this. And what I have on here is a Penn Fierce 2. They now have a Penn Fierce 3 out, 8000 series, with a power handle on it. Power handle just means it's got one of these bad boys instead of two. I don't know, I think it's more marketing than anything. But I put 65 pound braid on there. But then I put a 50 pound mono leader here on the end. Now, why did I do a mono leader on the end? Well, for me, it's really personal preference. You could put braid all the way through, but I just think, braid, when it gets snagged on rocks, it breaks really, really easy, that abrasion. If this is a rock, if the braid hit it, boom, it's popping. If mono's hitting a rock like this, it's got a lot of give. It's not going to do that. So the setup I have here is just a 3-ounce sinker to a barrel swivel, to the mono, to a circle hook. We'll go over that a little bit more here in a minute. Pretty easy setup. That is a more expensive reel. It has an incredible drag system on it. I mean, incredible drag system. And it's about $100, probably $100 reel. I think they were going for $120. But with the Penn Fierce 3s out now, I think those are going for $120, $130. So the 2s, which are just as good, they've probably been downgraded to about $100. But so this setup's a little pricier. It's about $160. Now you don't need all these setups. Just pick one or two. But this is the only 3 I really have. I have other setups. I rarely use them. This is my go-to. This is for big river fishing, heavy current, going for big boys, big baits. That's what I'm doing. And as far as rod and reels go, those are the only 3 I really use. I know there's a million different things. You can go ultralight, you can go super heavy, you can get all these fancy bass rods and reels. And I just don't do that. It's just not my thing. I don't like doing that. I like to keep it simple, not too expensive, and these are one-time purchases. I just keep using them year after year. I bought that setup in 2016. I bought this one, I think, in like 2017 or 18. So we're talking 4, 5, 6 years on these, and they keep working. So as far as the rods and reels, that's it. So what am I using for everything else? Not a lot. Again, I like to keep it simple. You saw the circle hooks. This is what I use. Team Catfish 8/0 circle hooks. Let's take a look at these. I think these are $4. You can get them at Walmart, Bass Pro Academy. I think they're $4 for a 3-pack. So it's over $1 a hook. So not super cheap, but I like them. You see they are an offset right there. Not an inline, but an offset. I tend to prefer the offset, but that's personal preference. I think it gets a little better hookups. As you can see, how this works, I'll show you on, well, I'll show you right here. How this works. If you don't understand circle hooks, you don't really set the hook sets itself. When there's pressure, as the rod is going down, the pressure, you can just reel down on it, or you just pick up on it with pressure, and it will hook itself. If you try to set the hook, sometimes it'll pull right out of its mouth. So how this works, when you look at this, it's like, how in the world is that going to hook anything with the point facing backwards? But it's really weird, okay? So if I'm dragging this along my arm, let me get this set up here. So I've got my arm right here, okay? The hook's going down right there. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. It's coming, it's coming, and it always rotates. I don't know how it does this. It's like spring loaded, but it works every single time. As I pull, I'm gonna pull on the line. Somehow, it's rotating and going right into the side of the mouth. How it does that, I don't know, but you would think this would just slide right out. But as it's coming along, it tends to always rotate like that. I don't know how at the last second it always turns and rotates. And then with tension, it digs in. So I don't know. So I don't understand it, but it works. The other positive of this, if you're catching and releasing catfish or whatever you're fishing for, very rarely will these ever get gut hooked. They're almost always going to be the side of the mouth. Super easy to pull out without too much damage. So that's another perk, but I think they get better hookups than the normal J hooks. That's just been my experience though. Okay, so circle hooks is what I'm using on the catfish rigs. For my small setup there, I'm mostly going to use either a crankbait, which I'll go over in a second, or I'm using these cheap Eagle Claw size 2, just the plain shanks. I'll show you what these look like. You can get them at Walmart or wherever. They don't cost anything. They're pretty small, but they work quite well. That'll catch almost anything in the river. Believe it or not, this is what I had on when I caught the 32-pound flathead this year. It's not focusing very well, but you can get the idea. There it is. And these are just your, these are also offset, as you can see, offset. But they're cheap, but they work. And then for my bait fish, like if I'm going to go to a pond or if I'm going to just catch bait to take to the river, I'm also using these Eagle Claw size 6 panfish ones. These are inline, just little gold wire ones, tiny ones, size 6. Super easy. I wouldn't recommend these for the river. I've gotten popped off a few times. But for pond fishing, these are great. They cost nothing. People want all this fancy stuff. These are cheap, they're effective, they work. As far as everything else goes, let me flip the camera around. I'll show you what I have elsewise, if that's a word, but there's not much else. Keep it simple and you'll catch more fish that way. All right, here's what I have set up. We went over the Trilene big game here. I got 12 pound, let me rotate that for you, 12 pound, 20 pound, 50 pound. You mix and match however you want. For my barrel swivels, again, keep it simple. Eagle Claw barrel swivels, okay? What does that look like? Right here. You've got your 3-ounce weight. This is just a little bead, and I use it because it tends to protect that knot right there. You don't have to use one, but it does tend to work. There's your barrel swivel. There's the leader. It goes down to the hook. Right there. Very easy, very simple setup. There's not much to it. That's what I use. Those are the barrel swivels that I get. As far as the rest of my gear, I do use these little bells. I think I found them on Amazon. All you do is take it, you put it on the end of the line right there, okay? And then when a fish comes along, get your attention by doing that over and over again, okay? Very simple. If you're fishing with your other rod, that goes off, well, you're good to go. As far as everything else is concerned, I use the Berkley scale, okay? It's very simple, very easy to use. Hey, the batteries are not dead, that's good. So it defaults to kilos. You can change it over to pounds. It'll do kilograms or pounds. You would think I'd know how to use this by now, but I'm trying to think how to even, maybe hold both at the same time. Is that how you go to pounds? Yeah, there you go. Pounds and ounces. Very simple. It's just stick it in the mouth, pull it up, and give you the weight. I don't use much else. Simple pliers, cheap pliers, okay? Scissors. These are called braid cutters. I got them at Academy for like $5. They're great for cutting braid, but they're great for cutting mono and everything else. I just got bought a Stanley measurer, just, you know, to measure the fish. Okay, there's my scissors for bait cutters. If I'm keeping fish, there's my fillet knife. I'm not giving you the brands on these because it doesn't matter, just pick one. Just pick one. And then the last two things I'll show you here are this aluminum spike rod holder. I bought this at Academy for, I don't know, $3 or $4. And all it is, aluminum spike that goes into this, basically a PVC pipe. You stick this down on the ground or in between rocks or whatever, stick your rod right there on the top. You got yourself a wonderful rod holder for, I don't know, $3 or $4. But again, everybody wants to sell you these fancy rod holders for 20, 30, 40 bucks. There's no need. There is no need whatsoever. So one more thing to show you and then we'll wrap it up. All right, last thing I'm gonna show you here. This is a cheap little net. I think I got at Academy, $8 maybe. And it looks kind of like just a little dip net, which it is. I mean, it's almost something you'd see for like a pool. Most people don't do this, but if I go to the creeks sometimes, these Clearwater creeks, and just dip net these really exotic looking little minnows and things, and I like to discover which different species they are. It's great for that. This is also great for scooping up any minnows anywhere. This could be good to just scoop the minnows out of your bait bucket. And then if you want a landing net, just get a bigger one from Walmart or Academy for $15, and that will land you a fish. That's everything, okay? Everything here is relatively cheap. I use the rattle traps a lot. Down at the river, I get the off-brand from Walmart called Cotton Cordell. They're a little bit cheaper than the rattle traps, and those work great for catching everything. And that's all I use. I use the rattle traps, I use worms, I use live bait, and I use cut bait, and I don't use much else. You could use a million other things, but that's all you need. For 90% of situations, of course you could upgrade if you're doing all these fancy lures that may need a really fast gear system. Maybe you need a big time reel for that. But I'm not doing any of that. And I think for 99% of people that are out there fishing, they don't need any of that. So I would just follow something similar to this, apply it to whatever your fishing technique is, what your circumstances are. I think that's all you'll need. And people are trying to sell you all this other stuff. They're trying to sell you stuff, which is fine. But don't overthink it. Keep it simple, and I think that'll catch a lot more fish for you. But I think that's it. I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the video. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in more stuff like this, hit subscribe and comment down below what other type of videos you'd like to see, and I'll do it. But anyway, thank you for watching, and God bless.